Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a pleasure and an honor to have MAZENDIAB with us today. All right, talking about teaching English online. Mazen has been in the field for over 12 years, and we worked together for about 5 years. And during that time, he was the conversation classes leader, and everybody wanted to take classes with him. He was some kind of pain for other teachers. Everybody wanted him and so on. So thank you, Mazen, for being in this conference, and we appreciate your great efforts, let alone your time. And I don't want to forget thanking you as audience for being here. I know it's very difficult. It's not easy to take things after Ramadan, but hope like you all do, like me, you get your tea and okay, you enjoy it. You broke your fasting, Mazen, right?
Yes, I did, of course.
All right. So good luck, Mazen. Good luck, Mazen, and the stage is all.
Well, let me start by saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking Mr. Safwan Kadura, actually the one who's giving me the chance participating in this first conference, English for teachers and learners in English. And that would be an honor for me to participate in this conference, as I would like to share some of my own experience classes for this evening. So, I don't know if you are all familiar with me. Maybe you have heard my name here and there somewhere, but I would like to, in brief, introduce myself in a very short time, actually. I don't know if Mr. Safwan would allow for this, but I believe it's going to be very short. So I hold a bachelor's degree in translation from Damascus University. I worked for the European Union project in Syria as a junior expert for a program called Train the Trainer. And I had a training with Mr. Safwan, actually so many trainings with Mr. Safwan, including the TESOL and the PTT, which is the practical teacher training. Now I started teaching SAT here in Turkey. In one of the schools, it's Istanbul American Schools. I started teaching the SAT, which is a test for high schoolers, for those who would like to apply for college admission. And recently, I have created a new channel, an educational YouTube channel, for those, who are interested in learning English online by posting some videos every now and then. As Mr. Safwan mentioned as well, I have almost 12 years of experience teaching English as a second language. So that's in brief, very pretty much, short about me. For those who don't know me, like in person, or maybe they have heard about me. Now, nowadays, I would like to start by saying that the chances that we are using the video conference are mostly happening more and more these days. So in today's presentation, I want to share with you some of the tips on how to teach English online for getting the most out of your classes and to have really successful classes online during these tough times, actually. So basically, in this presentation, I would like to talk about, 5 aspects. The first one is the requirements to teach English online and what it takes to be qualified. How could you know that you are qualified to teach online classes? The second thing I'm going to talk about, 3 reasons why you should teach online these days. So there are reasons why we should go for online teaching. I don't know, I believe that teachers who are listening to me now, so they know that this is really important these days. And after that, I'm going to talk about tips for teaching online, tips in general that would really push you to have more success in your classes online in order not to be confused and to have these problems and obstacles. And I will talk also about where to find students who are interested in your classes, online classes, where you can find them. And I'm going to talk finally about where to find online English teaching companies or jobs, worldwide. So these are the things I'm going to cover in my presentation. I hope that you would be interested. So let's start first by giving the importance on how could you teach online successfully? how could you do this in a successful way? Now, mostly when you apply like on the platform online, these companies or these organizations, they require, the TESOL or TEFL certificates. However, if you have your own experience teaching English as a second language, but you don't have these certificates, then, I mean, you can manage, okay, teaching those classes online. But remember, you need to have at least good experience to participate in such thing. Now, the most important thing before you think about any online classes is to be friendly, to have this friendly character. So you gotta have your smile most of the time. You gotta be patient. Okay, you need a lot of patience actually when you teach online. Well, I mean, in a physical class, you need to also have patience. Okay, you need to be patient a lot. But teaching online, you might find some obstacles. You might, I mean, like feel like there is no response out of the students. So you need to be patient in order to push and encourage the students more. And of course, you need to have this kind of punctuality. So if you want to be a teacher online, okay, whether it's English or any other subject, you need to be really punctual. And being punctual, it means like, I don't know, should I explain this as a teacher, but you have to be on time, in short. So this is one of the things that you really need to focus on. Now, also as a teacher, I mean, like being here, I mean, like teaching the language for almost 12 years, I have faced different types of students, different types of organizations, and every person, every student, every organization requires something specific for them. So I would say if you would really like to start this, then you need to find your own teaching niche, which means you need to determine which part of the language you want to teach. Now, it's okay, I mean, like to say, okay, I'm going to teach English online classes, but what type of English online classes? You need to bear in mind, some points, at least when you have these classes. You need to keep in mind who you are teaching, number one. Are you teaching like high schoolers? Are you teaching kids, elementary students? Are you teaching advanced level students? Are you teaching doctors? Who you are teaching. And the second thing you need to bear in mind is how you are going to teach this. So how you're going to do this. Is it the same when you teach kids as when you teach adults? Is it the same when you teach high schoolers or those who are interested in maybe doing the TOEFL or the IELTS? Of course, in here we're talking about different types of learning. So it's not about different types of learning. It's about more being specific, what type you're going to teach online. And finally, you need also to check what are the areas of English you're going to teach. So for example, I'm going to say I have online classes to prepare you for the IELTS or to prepare you for the TOEFL. Or I have conversation classes. So those who are interested in conversation classes would follow you, register in your own online class, and then you would go and hit your target. So it's not okay, to say that I teach English online. You need to be more specific. You need, to find your teaching niche. So please bear this in mind and keep it in mind, because sometimes students are not really realistic. So sometimes they say, like recently I received one of the students asking me, like, I want to go for IELTS test, okay, next month. So I would like you to give me classes. Now, the problem is not about her doing the test after a month. It's about her own level of English. Her level of English is almost elementary. I would say, maximum, intermediate. But then she wanted to, do the TOEFL test. So I told her, let's be realistic. Let's have our feet on the ground. It's not that easy. We have steps and we need time to go for that. So you need, to discuss this with the student themselves to check whether they are ready or not. And what are their expectations? We as teachers, we have our own expectations about the students and their progress, but also students have their own expectations about following these online classes. So always find your teaching niche. Now, I mean, let me go on and start telling you why, I mean, we should teach English online these days. There are three main reasons actually that I have come up with. And the first one is you can do this from home. You can do this while you are in the office, while you are in the kitchen, while you are in the living room. So you can find yourself a place somewhere at home and you can start teaching. So you don't have to use transportation. You don't have to, I mean, like wear, you know, most of your fancy clothes. Sometimes you can wear only like, you know, good stuff from the, you know, upper part. And then, I mean, like you could wear shorts down there. So the idea that you would be more comfortable because you are in your own ground, in your own place. And the second thing is that you can work internationally. Now you can have students from Libya, you can have students from, let's say, Tunisia, you can have students from Malaysia, you can have students from India. So it's like not only working locally in your own country, if you were in Syria or if you were in Egypt or if you were in Turkey, you can have international students. And by doing this, you will have more fun. You will have, I mean, like know more about the culture. So you would get a lot of benefits. So learning would be mutual. They will tell you about their culture. You will tell them about your culture and so on. And the third point that we need to keep in mind that doing this, I mean, for those who are interested in online teaching classes, they would find it really funny. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, it might be awkward for some of the teachers who are listening to me now, like, you know, how it could be fun, no interaction, the students are not physically there, they can't move, we can't, I mean, like do a group work or pair work. I say, we can do this, but by, I mean, being well prepared. So how we could have fun? We could have fun by sharing our experience, by, I mean, like having this sense of love while we are teaching. So if you love something you're doing, then you would probably have fun. But if you're doing this by force, because the school asked you to do this, or someone asked you to do this, then you would do it by force. And in that case, okay, I totally agree that you wouldn't be like really enjoying the class. But it's up to you. How do you feel from the inside towards these online classes? Now, I mean, when it comes to being prepared, I mean, I would like to start the tips, you know, for being, you know, really well prepared for these online classes. So the first tip is going to be, please, please, please be well prepared. And by saying being well prepared, it means you need to have your teaching resources really well organized. So you need to have these organized files. Of course, if you are teaching like using the laptop, your phone, you need to upload these, you need to prepare these like as a PowerPoint material, for example. You can show them the slides, you can have the activities, you can start your own questions, you can raise the questions here and there. So you need to prepare your materials very well. Now, you might think that, okay, teaching in a physical class needs, okay, worksheets and needs paperwork and you need to go around, okay? Now, it's almost the same for online classes. You need to prepare as much as you prepare in a physical class. Now, the second thing you need to worry about is how could you talk to your students before the class or after the class, and how to set the goals and to draw the importance of each lesson you teach. And what's the outcome? What's the outcome of each lesson you have? Now, also you need to prepare, I mean, for the class as a whole unit. So if you have one student, if you have 5 students, if you have 10 students, you need to have enough activities in order to be really well prepared. This is very important. Preparation is one of the things that would make you really, really unique, and people would like to start with you more and more. Now, tip number 2, you need to use some online platform. So you need to share, I mean, like your materials, okay, the videos you are doing, okay, in one of the online platforms, companies. So what does that mean? It means if you are planning to work with an organization, okay, or with a company, okay, then you need to have, such videos which have high qualities. You need to prepare yourself pretty well, because this will be like marketing for yourself. So how could you market for yourself? Okay, if you're doing this by your own, then this is a different story. Like, I know some teachers nowadays, because of the the situation that we're facing because of the coronavirus, and I'm so sorry to mention that. I don't know if people had enough of mentioning this word, but this is the real life we're having these days. So some teachers are using the Zoom, teaching online classes. Some people are teaching using the Skype. You can use your Facebook Messenger. There are different softwares you can use, but most importantly is to share what you have in one of the platforms online, so people will get to know you. People will know who you are. This is very important. Now, tip number 3 that I would like to share for today, that while teaching, you need to take notes. Now, usually we tell our students to take notes while they are taking the class, but it's not enough for the students to take notes, because if this is a conversation class, then the students will be interrupted by writing notes and checking their mistakes. This is not the right way. Then what we do as teachers, it's our job to write, down some tips, some notes for the students. So later on, we can send an email to the student telling them about their wrong pronunciation or wrong grammatical use, structure, or we can tell them about, for example, the wrong use of vocabulary. So while you are teaching, it depends on what you're teaching as a part of English. Then you could write notes and tell the students later on, not during the conversation or during the class. Later on, you can send it in a WhatsApp message, or you can send it on via email, telling them that they have done so and so and so. So providing such feedback is really important for the students, because this will tell the students that the teacher is really working hard and trying his or her best to let them improve their language and increase the level of their English. So this is also an important aspect that you need to keep in mind, please. Now, the 4th thing that we are going to talk about is giving homework. Now, I know that nowadays most of the students hate homework, even if they have plenty of time. But students always hate homework. But who told you homework is only given in a physical class or in a real life class? We can give homework also online classes. So you can tell them to prepare something for the next class, giving them some vocabulary to explain in English, of course, not in their own language or by translation method, because I don't use it myself, actually. And I always advise my students not to. So you can give them homework according to the lesson that you have. You can ask them to prepare something for the next class. And this is really, really important, because it shows how the student, whether he or she is following up with you. Now, you don't want to give a class like twice, maybe 2 lessons a week or 3 lessons a week, and then the student comes unprepared, not really, ready to, have the class or the knowledge that you have. So we as teachers, we have to push them. And we usually say in English, when the student is ready, the master is ready, or the teacher is ready. So that means you need to prepare them to get ready. So when they come to you into the class, even if it's online, then they are ready, asking them some questions, checking the vocabulary meaning in English. So this will put them in the mood, to go on and go for the class. Providing this will tell the student and the parents as well, if they are following up with you in schools, for example, that you are really aware of following up with their kids. And this is really important as well. Now, I would like to say also some tips for some teachers, not to follow. So these tips for some teachers not to follow. I repeat, not to follow. So don't be that boring teacher. And remember that the first online class gives you the first impression, and this is really matter, because the first impression really gets on the long term. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, some teachers might, with all my due respect to all teachers all around the world, including the ones that I know, you might start the class like this, like, okay, good afternoon. How are you, Ahmed? Well, what we had the last session. Um, let me check, like what we had the last time. So don't be that boring. Always start with, enthusiasm. Be energetic. Even if you are like, like online, like by having the video, teaching, you can be energetic. The tone of your voice, the way you're sitting down, the way you dress, everything tells the student that you are really, like enthusiastic about this lesson. So don't be that boring teacher. And I believe that Mr. Weil have some tips about not to be a boring teacher, which I totally agree with his subject, and I really love it, and I'm gonna watch it as well. Now, do not cancel. This is another piece of advice. Do not cancel too much. Now, remember the word consistency. Consistency. You need to follow up. You need to have a fixed schedule, fixed program. So if you have 3 times a week, then keep it 3 times a week, twice a week, twice a week. Try to show up always on time. If you cancel too much, then you're gonna lose your credit. The parents might complain about that. They might think of changing you with another teacher who is more punctual, who is more reliable, because the way you present yourself being there in every class will show how much you are, prepared, how much you are punctual, how much you are reliable as a teacher, caring about the class and the student himself or herself. So this is also very important, and it helps you a lot on the long run. So people will sometimes take advantage, like, this teacher always comes late. So they might always show up late also if you don't always show on time. Or if you cancel too much, then they would also cancel because they say that, okay, the class is not that important. So as he cancels, we can also cancel. Unless you have a very important thing, which is family. Because as you know, family comes first, even if you're teaching and you respect your job, but family comes first, and you need to keep that in mind. And also, one of the things that you need to bear in mind, giving feedback is not only enough. You need to give very good feedback, the positive feedback to your students. You need to give constructive comments, constructive, feedback. Of course, based on their learning mistakes and learning progress. But it's not enough only to talk about their mistakes and their weaknesses. This would put them down. So your feedback should be really good. At the end of each class, you need to praise your students, telling them that they did good job, their level of pronunciation has improved, their grammatical mistakes are few these days, or less. So you need to push them. This is our job as teachers, to push our students, to give them more and more support and more motivation, because some students really need your motivation as the teacher. So please keep it in mind. And be perfect in timing. So if you have like an exercise, online for 2 minutes, then just give it 2 minutes. If you have the explanation for 3 minutes, online, then keep 3 minutes. Try to be perfect in every piece of the class. The minute you show up, the minute you end up, the minute in between, the whole class, how you organize this will tell the student, whether he or she, that you are really well prepared. And students need to have this sense, by the way. They need to know how this is really prepared. Now, for me, as running this YouTube channel, the educational one, and I'm really interested in such thing, I have learned so many things. And some of these things will really help online English teacher classes to focus more on the equipment that they are using. So what is the webcam that you are using? What is the angle you are taking from, the headphone, the headset, the lighting, keeping the noise in the background, how you can do this using your phone or your laptop. Now, all these affect the quality of your class. And remember that the better quality, the video, the lighting, the sound, your voice, your, I mean, like posture, the way you sit down, everything affects the quality of the class. So online classes, I know that they're not the same as real life classes or the physical classes, but they are almost the same because you have your own presence. You're not teaching them like showing them the whole time, like, you know, the PowerPoint, okay, the slides. They need to see you. They need to hear you. They need to see how you move your mouth while you're talking, the pronunciation, everything, even your body language. It affects a lot in these classes. Now, also, you need to know your platform. What does that mean? If you are teaching using, for example, the Zoom, okay, or the Skype, you need to know what are the features, what are the key features, okay, where you can, I mean, like share, you know, your post, or where you can share your video, where you can share the exercise, all the slides, how you can mute, or you need to know about the features of the platform, whether it's online, or if it's your own, using like the Zoom or the Skype sometimes, or the Messenger, Facebook Messenger. All these affects, you know, the quality of your class. The more you know, the better you are inside the class, and you wouldn't feel like, you know, being really embarrassed or being awkward, you know, in front of the student, because the student can see you, and he or she knows what you're doing. So like if you say, okay, let me share this, but where's the button that I'm gonna use to share? Well, I can't find it. And then you ask Samer, do you know how I can share? I mean, like I have the PowerPoint slide down there and I need to share it with you. Actually, this is the first time that I use this. So this is really, I mean, embarrassing. And it shows the student that you are not well prepared. So always be well prepared. This is something, you know, has to be always in mind. Now, you might ask me, okay, I want to be an English teacher online. I want to do this. I want to go for that. Okay, so where can I find students? Well, I mean, based on my experience, nowadays I have, you know, some students, I mean, like from school, and I have some students also from Facebook. I have some students heard about me, or a friend told them about me to a father, to a friend. And so mainly I'm going to give you three, I mean, like, you know, ways or three places you can find students for your online class, if you have decided on your teaching niche. Now, the first place you can find is the online. There are a lot of online platforms, companies or organizations. They provide online classes. You can, I mean, like, apply there and tell them, I mean, send them like you need to teach. So they will check on you. They will have an interview, and then you will get the job and start teaching for them, for the platform. So in that case, you are not going to be worried about the number of students or how many classes you're going to get per week, because the platform organization or company will provide the number of students, and you will have regular classes. But of course, the payment is not going to be the same. It's going to be a bit less because they organize the whole matter. Now, the second place you can get students to teach online is the Facebook. On Facebook, there are a lot of groups for those who are interested in learning English, learning more about the language. So you can, I mean, like, advertise there. You can, I mean, like, market for yourself in there. Post a video, could be. Maybe you could, I mean, like, have a post telling students that okay, I would like to invite you for a free class online. Okay, those who are interested, please, I mean, send me a message, or let me know about that. So you would know who is interested to have online classes with you specifically, because your character, your charisma will play a big part sometimes in getting students. But I'm not saying that this would be a part of from your own experience and educational background. It's all as a one full package. And the third place that you can really get, I mean, students from is what we call, if Mr. Safwan would allow me, in business, we call this the word of mouth. Word of mouth. Yeah. So the word of mouth is one of the best things that you can have marketing for yourself. Now, you might ask, like, what do you mean by word of mouth? Well, this is the ultimate marketing tool. Why? Because people know who you are, what you've done, what do you do. Then they would tell others about you. Like, would you like to have, an online class with Mr. X or Mr. Y or Mr. Z? Then Mr. X is the best one. Mr. Z is the best one. Here is his contact number. You can follow him on Facebook. You can, check with him on Skype. So this is really important. And, for the long term, of course, if you have long experience in teaching or in any different domain or different field, not only teaching, then people would always get to know you. So the word of mouth is really important. And Mr. Safwan knows about this because it's quiet about business and how you can run your own business.
Absolutely.
Now, based on my experience, very humble little experience, I would say that I used these days, 3 types of softwares in order to teach online. Now, the first one was Skype, but honestly speaking, I was not really comfortable there because the connection is not really good. It's not stable, and the camera, the video is not always the video and the audio system is not really good. Now, the second thing that I would like to say that I taught also, using the WhatsApp, but the problem that the WhatsApp also has a bad connection sometimes, and it's not working in all countries. Like, as I heard now in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, the video calls in WhatsApp are not available. So I don't know if it's the same in Syria or any other countries, but WhatsApp is not the right choice actually to go for online classes. Now, what is the best choice if you're doing this by your own, not through a platform? You need to use the Zoom. Actually, I found that the Zoom is the best by far. Okay, and if you try it yourself nowadays, we're having this conference on Zoom. I believe it's one of the best one that I have ever used. Till now, okay, with my students. So these are 3 softwares. The best one is the Zoom. Take it from me as a piece of advice and use it for your online classes. Now, I would like also to shed the light on some companies in 2020 that provide online classes. And actually, as I said earlier, you can, go for these websites and apply as an English teacher, okay? And then they will, contact you, they will check on you. There are, there are a lot online, but I have come with some here. Actually, one of them is the Udemy. I guess most of you are familiar with this, website. It's a platform for teaching. It's not only for English, it has different fields actually. We have the VIB Kid, but I believe when I tried this, the VIB Kid online platform is only for native speakers, for Canadian and American. So I don't think it's the right choice. There are Voxy, there are italki, there are QKids, and many others actually. I can't remember all of them at the moment. But if you search online, then you can find these, you can apply, and you can start working online actually. This is one of the best things. And then you can get paid, every month, very safe and very, good way. Now, I would like to say, before I end up my presentation, I would like to say that online teaching is real. And nowadays, it's not an option only, it's a must actually. So sooner or later, I know that we're going back to our real life classes, and we're gonna go back to a physical class where we can walk and talk and see the students and pat on their shoulders. But you need to keep in mind that online teaching will always be a part of our lives in a way or another. And we need to remember that this is a very new thing for all teachers all around the world. And we are, these days, the first generation to actually get into online classes or online teaching. And I believe that this has a total different experience, because some teachers are not really comfortable with the camera, or not comfortable dealing with the students behind the screen. I would say it's not real, I can't really do my job, I can't teach the way it has to be. But in a way or another, you need to wake up. You need to know that this is a new era, and what's going to happen after the lockdown, actually, the world is going to change rapidly. So you need to prepare yourself. You need to know how you can jump in and start, online classes. So, from this perspective, I would push all the teachers, even if they don't want to, teach online, at least to have experience and get to know what it's all about, teaching online classes, because this is going to be really huge, the soon after a while, actually. So I don't know what else to say, but actually I would like to share, my own experience and my own ideas about these online classes. And what I have done so far is part of what every one of you did, actually. So you might have had classes online, and you faced some problems. And while I'm talking about the tips, you might have come up with, like, okay, yeah, that was wrong, I did this, or I should have had a different camera, or a different laptop, or a different lighting system. So, we need to prepare ourselves for the upcoming era, or the upcoming days, actually, I would say, because I believe that these days are very, very soon. Now, I would like actually to end up my presentation by giving one final piece of advice. And this one is based on my experience, actually. It's not out of here and there. I had this myself. Do not wait to be a perfect teacher. Do not wait to be perfect. Perfection is only for God, and everyone knows that. So don't let this, takes you back, because if this takes you back from teaching, just because you feel like you are not perfect, you are not the excellent teacher, the greatest teacher on earth, then you're going to be really long. It's going to take you a while, very long time to prepare yourself. Nobody is perfect. Just start. Teach to get experience. Teach to get experience. If you don't teach, believe me, no experience will be granted. Teaching theoretically is not doing this practically. A lot of people, studied books and read books, and I do appreciate this, and I do emphasize the importance of reading, of course, if you want to teach, to get to know more ideas and how people are doing this in different, aspect. But you need to go on the practical side, the practical part. So always, whenever you feel like you have passion and you have patience as well, then just go for it. You need passion to go for this. Create your own videos. Try to make it as a part of your own experience. Make videos. Try to make better videos later on, okay? Start marketing for yourself online. Nowadays, we have, all the social media is open. So if you want to market yourself, then you need exactly to know how to sell yourself. But try to do your best, and by doing your best, learn how to be better and better and better. Now, once more, I would like to thank Mr. Safwan again for giving me this chance participating in this conference, which is the first online conference for English teachers and learners of English. And it's an honor again for me to be here among you all. And thank you so much for all the audience, all those who are attending at the moment with us. And I hope that my presentation was beneficial, was, as you expected, or even more. Thank you so much. Mr. Safwan, if you would like to, I have said what I really wanted to say, and I believe I don't want to take much out of your time, so people can prepare for the next presentation as well.
Right. Thank you so much, dear. That was really beneficial. Great as usual. Maybe you still have, Mazen, a few moments. So some people were asking some questions.
Please.
I know. Oh yeah, I know you're not looking there. So I just picked two of them, if you allow me.
Please go ahead. I would love to.
So here is Rida. I'm not sure if it's the same Rida, because it's Rida Rawaz. Same Rida.
I'm not sure actually.
That used to be with us on the team.
I'm not sure actually. I'm just like, I mean, checking
Okay.
on.
Oh
I didn't
yeah,
see actually the posts.
here he is.
He is.
Oh yeah, say what? All right, please
I
contact
guess
me,
he's
Rida.
now
I
in
miss you a
Dubai.
lot. It's been about 8 years. So, uh, Rida is asking, how can you establish rapport with your learners online? And what kind of activities can you make with kinesthetic learners or active learners?
That's an excellent question. Now,
All right.
having a good rapport starts by, having your first initial thing, which is your first impression. And that has to be with a smile. So always when you talk to the student, you need to have your smile. You need to, make a joke sometimes. Even if you are a serious person, you need to find something that would make the students, laugh or make the student enjoy the time. Now, the types of activities also affect a lot. Now, for those who have kinesthetic, way of learning that they like to move and they like to, you can ask them to do something. So if you are teaching for them like a conversation or about vocabulary, you can ask them, for example, to find something around them which is in red. So that takes them to move, okay, like move and then find something red inside the room that they are in. Or you can ask them, okay, for example, find me something inside the room which has some electronic device. So they will, stand up. And so if you want to engage them in movement, then you need to find questions related to the vocabulary or the lesson, and then apply this in order to let the students move out of his chair or her chair. So this is actually a very good question, because mostly online classes, the teacher is sitting all the time and the student is sitting all the time. And this is kind of boring. You need to do something that would make them, be more active, more engaged. I would choose, as I told you, like to ask them moving, maybe to ask them to get something like around them, something red, something yellow, something black, so they can move on and get it and find. So in this case, they will, find it really funny and helpful to move on and learn something. You can, use body language. So you say, for example, if you're teaching about the body, okay, parts, you can tell them, okay, what do you call this? Okay, so where's your ear? So if you're teaching kids, for example, because mostly kids like to move a lot while they are learning. So I had this nowadays, because of my daughter. My daughter now is 2 years and a half. So I tell her, where's your ear? So she moves. So, okay, where's your nose? So yeah, these things would, add fun to the class, the online class, if I could answer this question properly.
Super. And the last question here, I think we can go for, just because of time. This is by Tomador, I think Tomador Juma, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Yep. So how can we make our online classes more learner-centered rather than teacher-centered?
Excellent. That's an excellent question. Because if the class is really successful, then it has to be student-centered rather than teacher-centered. So it's not like inside the class you're one-the-man show and you're always doing the whole thing. No, this comes by being well prepared. So if you are well prepared, running the exercises one after another, having the slides. For me personally, what I do in order to have the class more student-centered, I plan everything on PowerPoint slides. So in the PowerPoint, the slides, each slide has something that the student has to do with. So, they always follow. So I talk less, I ask them to talk more, to analyze more. Most of the slides have questions that they have to answer, that they will, be always engaged. It engages them to think critically and then answer the questions. Now, this is also one of the methods in teaching, which we call it, language discovery. Now we can apply this for vocabulary. We can apply this for grammar. Structures. So being well prepared, I mean, for me, I do the PowerPoint, as I said. Each slide has something, the questions, you know, I talk very little and I let the students do the whole job. From my, I mean, part, I have to correct, of course, by taking notes. As I told you, I don't usually like interrupt, like, we don't say that. Okay, this is wrong, this is bad, you know, no. You gotta be always nice. I mean, the best way you could do. So being well prepared by having questions, critical questions on the slides. So when you share the materials online, it's not only having your video and the students. The video could be, I mean, like, you know, on the corner of the, on his laptop or on the phone. And then when you share your material, they can see what you have prepared. And this will engage them more and more and more. I hope that I have answered this question also in the best way that I could.
Great. That was supposed to be the last question. However, I'm not sure if you have the chat, Mazen. Can you see the chats, or you want me to read the question for you? All right, I will read
Actually,
the question for you.
The chat because I'm you know, I just had the phone.
All right. So
yeah,
just because this is a very good question, so
please.
Right. So Mohammed is saying, how can I know about the fees on the market if it's online? And then he's adding, it might be easy to know about the local market, but what about the market outside?
That's a very good question. Actually, honestly speaking, I have come across this, I mean, like while I was preparing, but I didn't want to mention things about money or fees, because this is sometimes embarrassing, not for me, but I mean, like for teachers or students who are, I mean, like, you know, maybe watching. But I would say that internationally, worldwide, the fees start from $10 up to $40. $10 up to $40 per hour. So if you're teaching online for 1 hour, okay, then the rate, the fees is going to be like $10 up to $40. Now, this is if you are teaching in one of the platforms, the companies we talked about. But if you're doing this by your own, then you need to check. I know a lot of native speakers who are doing this job starting from $20 up to $35 per hour. So this is, I mean, like worldwide known. Like if you want to have an online class, okay, it's at least, okay, $10. Now it depends also on your own qualifications, how qualified you are, the years of experience, you know, what type you're teaching. So are you teaching like TOEFL, IELTS? Are you teaching conversation classes? Are you teaching business class? Are you teaching management classes? So I believe the type of class you're doing would also put you in a place that the rate would be higher or lower. But of course, I'm not going to say how much I usually you know, ask for students.
Don't worry, guys, it's pretty much affordable.
Yep.
Maybe $100 per hour, and but it's worth it.
Yes, it depends on how you see, I mean, the class. Okay, I mean, like this is pretty much different from one teacher to another, and also it depends on what the student really need.
Right. All right. So I have here Ms. Right, with the name Galaxy J7 Pro wants to say something. So could we try to say something?
Galaxy?
You know, somebody with the name Galaxy J7. Can you try? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Did he or she say anything?
All right. Misunderstanding. I think he says I want to say something. All right. Anyway, so this must be related to you, this Galaxy J7, right?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out like who's this person. I mean, I can't really remember, but I believe that, you know, my wife's phone is Galaxy J7 Pro.
Yeah, exactly, because Here we go. I got confused and
Great.
is
Yeah,
trying
actually,
to.
I mean, it's a
Okay.
pleasure for me that she is attending my online conference presentation.
Exactly, and she is all right. So she's telling you that she's, glad with this presentation, and you are a great teacher, and so on. So
I'm glad
welcome.
that she is
So,
joining. Yeah, thank you so
right.
much.
Okay. So, dear, as for coming to the end of this presentation, it's
Yep.
such a pleasure to have you, dear Mazen. You
Thank you
just
so
got
much.
me, back to the old days, to the wonderful days, and I hope like
True.
participants could get pretty much knowledge and, as usual, of course, out of your presentation. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much
much.
for being with us. It's such a pleasure and honor, and looking forward to meeting
Mine.
you in person.